Have you heard of the new Brené Brown podcast called Unlocking Us? Well, if you haven't, you need to. It's been a really awesome tool that I've been using to up my relationship game during this weird time in our lives. And I just recently listened to an episode about loneliness and relationships, and I wanted to share some of my biggest takeaways. And if you're interested in listening to the full podcast at length, check out my comments and I'll share them with you in the comments, okay? And if any of this resonates while I'm sharing it with you, please chime in. So within this podcast, she shared that loneliness right now actually is coming up to being one of the leading causes of death in our culture. One, because of suicide, but also two, because of all the different health factors that can be attributed to it, from the way you will consume food to your blood pressure and so on. So loneliness is a big killer right now, and so it needs to be looked at, because there are ways that we can avoid being lonely, specifically through the types of relationships that we cultivate. And one thing I didn't realize, it really kind of blew my mind, that we as humans have three distinct relational needs. I'm going to say that again, relational needs in our life. It's not just a one, it's a need. And if we don't have these needs fulfilled, we're going to experience loneliness. So let me share those three different types of relationships with you. One is intimacy, whatever that looks like to you. It can be deep physical connected intimacy, it can be emotional intimacy, but usually that relationship comes in the form of something that you have some sort of sexual relationship with, one that you can share that physical closeness. Two is deep friendships. And how they define that, though, is not just acquaintances. Like, do you have any friends that you can completely take off all of your masks and be completely vulnerable and share with them about all of your belief systems, like all of your highs and your lows, and they'll still love you and they won't judge you? I hope you have at least one of those, because if you don't, that's like a human need that we have, is to have some sort of friendship type companions that we can be completely ourselves. With. That's number two. Number three is we need some sort of group connection to where we feel like as humans that we are part of something greater. So for many people historically, that has been your community of faith. But studies show that there's been a decline in religious structures and an increase in more mysticism, where people are having direct experiences of the divine on their own. And so it's being even more pertinent, if someone isn't involved in a specific religious structure, than to find those groups of people, whether it be your yoga studio, or your women's circle, or your music festival, your festy family. But it's those people who you feel like you have the same ideals and belief systems. So those are the three types of human needs that we have: intimate, close friendships where we can take off all our masks, and a big group to be involved with. But here's the important part. Here's the really important part, is that without having all three of those, we can experience loneliness. So you can have the most wonderful, committed partner, but if you don't have a best friend that you have that same deep closeness with, or if you don't have a greater tribe in which you belong, you can still feel lonely. So you can have this amazing partner sitting right next to you that is so wonderful and still feel lonely. And that's important to know because the mind is a problem solver. And so if you're married and have this wonderful partnership and you're feeling lonely, it's really easy for the mind to make up a story that there's something wrong with that partnership or that relationship because you're still feeling lonely. Well, my suggestion is for you to really contemplate, do you have those three things? And if you don't, and if you're feeling lonely, that's why. I don't necessarily have a solution for you of where you go to find those people if you don't. But I think right now when, so many people are coming together, it's like, have you ever been in a crowded room but still felt lonely? If you've been in a crowded room and still felt lonely, it's probably because you were in the wrong crowd. You were in the crowd of people who you have to have a mask on instead of the mask that you can completely shed and take off. I hope this resonates. Please let me know if you have any comments or if this resonated in any way, shape, or form. I hope you guys have a great day. Peace, love, and very nice. Oh, by the way, again, that podcast is by Brené Brown. It's called Unlocking Us. I promise you'll like it. You're welcome.